Do you think Alexei needs a lawyer?
Yeah, I think he definitely needs a lawyer.
So Alexei, if you're watching this, you may have signed something that prevents you from publicly discussing aspects of your contract. But I got good news for you. No one can keep you from talking to a lawyer. Reach out to me. We can see if there's a legal way to help.
You heard everything yourselves. Now the ball is on Supcaman's side. Now Alexei must take a very risky step, on which the fate of Skibidi Toilet will depend. Either he accepts defeat and continues living under the pseudonym Door Closer, or he takes a risk and gains freedom. Now the fate of Skibidi Toilet depends only on him, and I'm sure he'll make the right decision. Besides the fact that Mike released a new video, I didn't stay on the sidelines and reached out to another lawyer YouTuber called Legal Eagle. And if he also makes a video on this topic, then this will be a second crushing blow to the company. Also, the community wrote to YouTuber It's Blanco, who analyzes conflicts. And as has already become known, he's already preparing a video about the scandal around Skibidi Toilet. You'll learn this and much more in today's video, so don't forget about the like and also subscribe to the channel, because unfortunately most people watch without subscribing. Well then, let's begin. Mike in his video mentioned Next Apps. Remember them? I talked about them a year ago. In short, this company claimed the copyright to Skibidi Toilet back in 2024. And here's what's interesting. Mike forgot to mention that just yesterday the court ended with Next Apps' defeat. But actually, this news is good for us too, because now there will be one less problem. I believe there's some small chance that we'll see Alexei in the role of Supcaman again. For this, we've been fighting for justice for more than half a year. Let's start with why Mike's appearance changes everything. Until this moment, our struggle ran into one fundamental problem. Whatever we said, however loudly we shouted, for the outside world, this remained fan fuss. A bunch of people upset over an internet series about toilets. Easy to brush off, easy to ignore. This is exactly what the company was counting on all this time. And now, this wall has fallen. Because when a practicing lawyer with a 30 million audience calls the situation robbing an author, this stops being fan fuss. It becomes a legal assessment. The difference is colossal. We could repeat for years that Alexei was treated unfairly, and we wouldn't be heard. And one video from a professional translates the whole story into the plane of real law. Now, these aren't the emotions of offended viewers, but a documented analysis of how a person had his creation taken away. And here's what's especially valuable. Mike didn't blindly take our side. He's a lawyer, and he approached the matter honestly. Where the company has a strong position, he said so. This makes his conclusions much weightier, because when a person who tries to be objective still comes to the conclusion that Alexei was treated unfairly, you believe this much more than any emotional clip. But let's talk about what truly shocked me in this story and what was almost never spoken about out loud before. This is the financial side. We're all used to thinking that Alexei's main problem is the loss of creative control, that he was deprived of the opportunity to make the series the way he wants. And that's true. But it turned out there's something much worse. It became known to everyone that Alexei possibly didn't receive normal money at all for the franchise he himself created. Think about this absurdity. Skibidi Toilet gathered tens of billions of views, toys in stores all over the world, merch and so on. A whole industry grew around one person's idea. And this person, according to leaked messages, says that he's practically without money and lost control over the monetization of his own channel back in 2024. If this is true, then before us isn't just a story about creative disagreements. This is a story about how a creator was cut off from the fruits of his own labor. On our X page, you can find all the latest information about Skibidi Toilet. Incidentally, there's even a small excerpt from episode 80 of Skibidi Toilet. The link to X is in the description. And now we come to, in my opinion, the most wild aspect of this whole situation, to the silence. Imagine that you created something great, a whole world that tens of millions of people fell in love with, and then you're forbidden to talk about it. Not just not recommended, but legally forbidden under the threat of a lawsuit. This is exactly what the main cruelty of what's happening consists of. According to available information, Alexei can't publicly say anything about the company, about Skibidi Toilet, or about his contract. Nothing at all. The journalist who tried to take an interview with him confirmed this. The full interview never came out because Alexei was bound by these restrictions. Think about what this means on a human level. Everyone around discusses your fate. The company issues statements on your behalf. Viewers build theories. Lawyers analyze your case. And you, the central figure of this whole story, are forced to stay silent. You can neither confirm nor deny. You can't tell your version. You can't even just say thank you to the people who are fighting for you. This is a form of isolation that probably weighs down the most, and that's exactly why Mike's offer became so important. He found what the others didn't notice. Yes, the contract may forbid speaking publicly, but no contract in the world can forbid a person from consulting a lawyer. This is a basic right that can't be taken away by any agreement. And here, a door opens. Alexei can get professional help without violating a single point of the agreement. For the first time in all this time, a real, legally clean path appeared to change the situation. Before Alexei now are two roads, and each of them requires a serious decision. The first road is to accept it, to accept that Skibidi Toilet is lost, to continue quietly living under the pseudonym Door Closer, make Human Being and Alili Alila, and build a new audience from scratch. This is a safe path. No risk, no courts, no war with the company. Just leave the past behind and move on. And you know, I would understand Alexei if he chose exactly this. The person is tired. 2 years under pressure, without money, without a right to speak. Anyone would want to just close this chapter. But there's also a second road. Risky. To accept the help that Mike offers. To start a legal fight. To return what belongs to him by the right of the creator. This is a path full of dangers. Courts can drag on for years. The company will resist with all its might. This will require nerves, time, and courage. But at the end of this path, there's something that isn't on the first one. Freedom. The opportunity to get Skibidi Toilet back and make it the way he conceived it. And here's why I believe Alexei will choose the second path. A person who alone, being a teenager with an SFM program, created the largest animated phenomenon on YouTube, isn't someone who gives up easily. Someone who's capable of working 3 months on one episode for the sake of quality is a person of principle. And I don't believe that such a person will just silently give his creation to people who don't value it. Mike even mentioned the strikes, and the moment when the company tried to delete our channels for the truth. Thanks to you, I and other YouTubers were able to withstand this wave of strikes. As you remember, the company sent strikes to those who criticized it, not to random channels, but specifically to dissenters. 27 strikes on 10 channels. And the most absurd, a strike because someone's avatar got into a screenshot during a discussion. This is no longer protection of rights, this is banal censorship under the cover of copyright. And the scariest thing is that the system still allows this. That's why our struggle is no longer only about Defuk Boom. It's about precedent. If such a scheme works here, if the company comes out dry, this will become a template. Other corporations will see that you can take an author's creation from him, cut him off from money, gag him with a contract, and crush dissenters with strikes. And they'll do the same thing again and again. Therefore, by protecting Alexei, we're actually protecting all future creators who may find themselves in his place. And here, it's just the right time to talk about the real weapon we already have, about public attention. Corporations aren't afraid of angry comments. They're afraid of publicity that threatens their money and reputation. Remember how this story developed. First, there were only YouTubers and viewers. We were ignored. Then journalist Stephen Asark joined in, but the interview was strangled by a contract. Then, the Let Boom Speak movement appeared. The company responded with strikes. Every time we raised our heads, they tried to crush us. But we didn't give up, and gradually the story grew. And now, it has reached critical mass. Mike took on the case, a lawyer with a huge audience. I reached out to Legal Eagle, one of the most respected legal channels on the internet, YouTuber. It's Blanco is already preparing his video about this scandal. Do you understand what's happening? The story stops being local. It's spreading to larger and larger platforms, to audiences that previously didn't even know about the existence of the conflict. And here's the strength of this moment. When several independent large channels simultaneously analyze the same injustice, this creates an effect that's impossible to stop. The company can ignore one lawyer, it can try to negotiate with one blogger, but when the story sounds from all sides at once, it won't be possible to silence it anymore. Each new video is a new wave of people learning the truth, and at some point this wave will become so big that ignoring it will already be impossible. That's exactly why it's so important to bring in Legal Eagle. He has a reputation as a person who analyzes the loudest legal cases as seriously and thoroughly as possible. If he takes on the topic, This will give it even more legitimacy. It will mean that not one, but already two professional lawyers publicly acknowledge the problematic nature of the situation. And this is no longer a coincidence. This is a trend. Let's also honestly talk about what we can really count on. I don't want to give you false hopes, because we've already been burned more than once over these 9 months. Right now, Mike's expose won't return the rights to Alexei automatically. That's not how it works. A video, even the most powerful by itself, doesn't cancel a signed contract. But it does something else, no less important. It creates pressure. It changes public opinion. It gives Alexei a tool and support he didn't have. And it shows the company that the price of their behavior grows with each day. Think about the position the company finds itself in. On one side, the public pressures them. And now, not only the audience, but also lawyers. On the other side, they have investors who need profit, not a reputational nightmare. Remember the recent news where the company took out a loan for $25 million, allegedly to create a film. But as we know, there is and will be no film. And if there is one, then Michael Bay won't be involved with it, and it'll be some artificial intelligence-generated nonsense. Considering all this, at some point holding a toxic asset becomes more expensive for the company than getting rid of it. That's what we're leading to. Not to an instant victory, but to a situation in which it becomes more profitable for the company itself to release Alexei or sell the franchise than to continue this war. And here, our efforts connect with other directions. Remember about A24 studio, which I talked about earlier? If pressure from lawyers makes the franchise toxic, and A24 offers a way out in the form of a purchase, the company will find itself in a fork that's ideal for us. Legal pressure pushes them towards selling, and a buyer is already ready. Each of our directions individually is just a chance, but together they add up to a real strategy. Therefore, I appeal to everyone who watched to this moment. Don't stop right now, when everything has finally moved off dead center. For 9 months, we knocked on closed doors, and now several of them have begun to open simultaneously. This is the best moment in all the time of struggle. What specifically can you do? Go to Legal Eagle's channel and leave a comment under his latest video with a request to analyze the situation around Skibidi Toilet. Support Mike's video so it gets maximum reach. Spread information about what's happening so that as many people as possible learn the truth. Each of these actions takes a minute, but together they create that very wave that's impossible to ignore. And most importantly, remember what all this is for. We're not fighting for an abstract series, we're fighting for a principle. For the creator to have the right to his creation, for a talented person not to be cut off from the fruits of his labor and not deprived of a voice, for corporations not to be able to take from authors with impunity what they created with their own hands. Alexei gave us a whole world, a strange, absurd, brilliant world that united tens of millions of people across the planet. Now it's our turn to do something for him. And if each of us puts in at least a little effort, I believe we'll achieve justice. The ball is on Alexei's side, but we can also play along from our side. Before finishing, I want to stop on one thought that it seems to me explains why this whole story touched people so much. Why tens of thousands of people can't just forget for 9 months already and move on. The thing is that Skibidi Toilet was never just a series about singing toilets. For many, it's an absurd picture from the outside, but those who really followed it know the truth. This was a living, developing universe with deep lore, hidden details, thought-out character arcs. Behind each frame stood the thought of one person who built this mythology for years. Fans didn't just watch, they investigated, analyzed every second, looked for Easter eggs, built theories, argued about the plot. This was real collective creativity around one author's work, and this is exactly what the company never managed to understand. They bought the brand, the trademark, the rights, but they didn't buy what made Skibidi Toilet alive. The soul of the project, the author's vision, the connection between him and the audience. This can't be transferred by contract. This left with Alexei, and that's exactly why everything they released after his departure feels empty. Technically, it's similar to Skibidi Toilet, but inside, there's none of what people came for. When fans say, "Let Boom speak" or "Bring Boom back," they're actually talking about more. They're saying, "Return the soul." to the project. Return the person without whom all this is just a beautiful shell. And there's nothing stupid or childish about this, whatever the company thinks about us. This is a completely mature understanding that the value of creativity is in its creator, not in the legal rights to a name. That's why I so believe in our victory, because on our side is truth that's obvious to anyone who looks without bias. Lawyer Mike saw this. Soon, others will see it too. And the more people understand the essence, the weaker the company's position becomes. Time works for us, not for them. Every month without Alexei, the series loses value and our movement only grows stronger. And the last thing I want to say, don't let fatigue defeat you right now. I know that many of you have been following this story from the very beginning. I know that you survived dozens of moments when it seemed that here it was, a breakthrough, and then everything again ran into a wall. This is exhausting. It's normal to feel emptiness, but it's in such moments that everything is decided. The most important victories happen when there's almost no strength left, but you take one more step. We've come a long way, and for the first time, real, serious allies have appeared on the horizon. Professional lawyers, large channels, a real legal case. These aren't empty hopes, these are concrete shifts. So, let's bring what we started to the end. This has been Super Cameraman. See you very soon. Good luck, everyone, and goodbye to all.